Hey friends, Ash here with Gents coming at you guys today with 5 different fragrances that my wife really loves, and some of these fragrances I have mentioned in the past. Fragrances that she's picked out for either rotations or particular videos for holidays and things like that. So I just went to her and said, hey, can you pick out some of your favorite fragrances, and I'll go ahead and do a video and feature those, and that's what I'm talking about here today. Actually, it's technically going to be 6 fragrances, but 5 just sounds better. So let's jump into this. First one, very obvious fragrance, big date night fragrance, probably one of the biggest date night designer fragrances that's ever been, one of the most popular designer fragrances that has ever been. It is Dolce & Gabbana's The One, but the Eau de Parfum instead of the original Eau de Toilette. Now, I like the Eau de Toilette a lot. It's a fragrance that I've worn countless times, but the Eau de Parfum kind of takes what the EDT does and in general improves upon it. So it's a little bit deeper, a little bit richer, maybe even a little bit sweeter, and that's what people really like about The One to begin with. Some of the notes in The One Eau de Parfum are amber, tobacco, ginger, and cardamom. The tobacco here, more of the sweet variety with spice, and it's super approachable. One of the easiest fall and winter fragrances to wear. It's a great date night fragrance, great night out fragrance, as I already mentioned, and that's really why my wife loves it, because of that whole, sexy date night kind of vibe that it gives off. The One is one of my most complimented fragrances of all time, both the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum. Both of them are big compliment pullers, big attention grabbers, as long as people can smell it, because that's really the big knock on The One, both the EDT and EDP, is the performance. It's not great. It doesn't project for all that long, and it doesn't last and last and last. Now, that's potentially a good thing, because as has been mentioned on my channel and other people's channels and on forums and just all over the place, with a lot of date night fragrances, you actually don't want them to be super loud, because you don't want it to be too aggressive. You would rather have a fragrance that's kind of alluring, or it's going to draw somebody in closer to you, maybe for a better sniff. And that's what The One does. It projects just enough that somebody can catch a whiff of it and maybe causes them to lean in a little bit closer. So depending on how you look at it, the performance of The One could actually be a good thing. For my wife though, The One Eau de Parfum, big favorite of hers. She loves the way it smells, and it's one of those fragrances that she will tell me to wear sometimes when we're going out for a date night. Okay, second fragrance, another one that she has mentioned before. I think she actually mentioned this one and the last one on a Valentine's video, maybe back in like 2017. Memory could be wrong there, could be fuzzy, but I think so. This one is from Jean Paul Gaultier, and the fragrance is Ultramall. So Ultramall has got pear, vanilla, amber, and cinnamon, some of the notes in the fragrance. This one does have a little bit more of that sort of, if you want to call it, bubblegum type sweetness to it, that modern sweetness, and my wife is in general a fan of fragrances of that type. Ultramall, a fragrance that, again, like the previous fragrance, is great for a night out. It is maybe, for me personally, not quite as good of a date night fragrance as The One, because Ultramall is so much more powerful than The One, but it is a good potential date night fragrance. I'd probably just dial down the sprays a little bit. But in terms of a night out fragrance, like to a bar, to a club, something like that, Ultramall is really, really good, because again, it's a big attention grabber. This one also, huge compliment puller. It's probably my wife's favorite from Jean Paul Gaultier as of right now. I haven't smelled the new Eau de Parfum yet, so it's possible that she would like that one more, but as of right now, it's still Ultramall. Ultramall is one of those fragrances that's gotten a lot of love from the fragrance community. A lot of people have said, gotta own it, and it really is just because of the reaction that it gets from other people. It's an easy to wear fragrance, and people seem to love it. So there's the second fragrance, Ultramall, and the third fragrance is one that doesn't really have a lot to do with the last two. It's by Creed, and it's Viking. Now when you hear Creed, you probably would think Ventus Green Hours Tweed, Silver Mountain Water, Millesime Imperial, Arolfa, something like that. But actually, Viking has grown on her a lot. It's one that the first time she smelled it, she wasn't as keen on it. It's not that she disliked it, she was just kind of like, it's okay. But over time, Viking has grown on her tremendously. And it does have kind of a throwback feel, kind of an old school feel to it, but really well done, extremely high quality. Some people will say it smells like a niche Old Spice, like a niche take on Old Spice. There's mint, bergamot, and lavender in there, along with pink pepper. So it's a fresh, spicy kind of fragrance, great for springtime. You could pull it off in summer, you could pull it off in fall. Really, it's almost got year-round versatility to it. It is more of a daytime fragrance for me than a nighttime fragrance, but Viking is one that she just loves. I can tell you in a suit too, Viking works really well. Next up, one that's pretty easy to guess. Why Eau de Parfum by Yves Saint Laurent. Huge, huge compliment puller. Of all the fragrances I'm gonna mention today, this one has been the biggest compliment puller for me. Why Eau de Parfum is just crazy as far as the reactions that it gets from people. Again, just based off of my own personal use of the fragrance. Apple, sage, ginger, amberwood, some of the notes in the fragrance. This one, extremely versatile. It's got versatility like Bleu de Chanel does, where you can wear it during the day, during the night, casually, to the office, formally, on a date, whatever, you can pull it off. Performance on this one, really good for me as well. Last and last and last projection, very solid. Why Eau de Parfum is, for me, one of the best designer blue fragrances on the market. In terms of what it's trying to do, it nails it. And my wife loves it, absolutely loves it. And really, like 95+% of women that have ever smelled it on me have loved it as well. So at least it's come across that way. I can't say for certainty, 95.7%. So YSLY Eau de Parfum, my wife's a big fan. She gives it 2 big thumbs up. Next fragrance, which is the 5th, but not final, is Parfums de Marly Leighton. Yeah, Leighton. And she has actually talked about this on my channel before, this fragrance. She's had me wear it countless times. And as far as niche fragrances go, this one is probably right up there, close, not quite there, but close to Aventus in terms of versatility and just overall wearability. It's got vanilla, apple, cardamom, lavender, some of the notes in the fragrance. For me, it does trend a little bit more toward cooler weather than warmer weather because it does have a decent amount of spiciness and it also has a decent amount of depth to the fragrance, a little bit of oomph. And so if it's really hot outside, you spray on a lot of Leighton, could be cloying. Then of course there's Leighton Exclusive, which takes the Leighton DNA, makes it even darker. That one I also own, but I don't like it quite as much as the original. And neither does my wife. She actually always, 10 times out of 10, will go for Leighton over Leighton Exclusive. Leighton is kind of like a stepping stone into niche fragrances, so is Parfums de Marly to an extent. They've got higher quality than designer fragrances, a little more unique, but still have a lot of wearability. So fragrances like Leighton or like a lot of the Creed fragrances are great scents to kind of start getting into niche fragrances if you've never really experienced them, you've only worn designers. Leighton, like pretty much all the fragrances I've mentioned to this point, big attention grabber, big compliment puller, and as I mentioned, huge versatility. It's another one of those ones that you can wear formally or to the office or wherever, and definitely you can wear it to a date. Very sweet, very spicy, very likable, Leighton. Okay, the last one, the 6th fragrance, is one that my wife actually bought me for Christmas years back. And I've got a vintage bottle of it, and then a slightly more new bottle, and it's a Versace, the Dreamer. This one has a ton of notes, a whole bunch. Lavender, tobacco, it's got florals, carnation being one of the florals, which doesn't get used very often in modern fragrances. You've also got tonka in there, you've got sage. Like I said, there's a bunch going on, a lot of notes. And this one is gonna be the most divisive of all the fragrances that I've mentioned. A lot of people don't like the opening to the Dreamer. It's, for me, actually the best part of the fragrance. It's the part I like the most. I think it's the most unique part. But some people just don't go for it. They don't like it. And that makes this one divisive. Now this one's been out for a while, came out I believe in '96 originally, so it's not like this is a new fragrance. It's been out 24 years now, but it's still good. It's unique. I mean, nothing else out there to me smells like the Dreamer except for the Dreamer, and it's not very expensive. And really, it's when Versace was doing fragrances that were, again, more unique. They weren't trying to go like, well, we got to get a blue fragrance, we got to get this summer fragrance, and we've got to get, an oud fragrance because the oud is the new trend right now. Like, that's what Versace is kind of doing now. But when the Dreamer came out, they were doing their own thing. And so it's a fragrance that I really like, and my wife loves it, I think because she picked it out for me that Christmas years ago. And so she's got kind of an attachment to the fragrance. That was before YouTube, before, any of this. So for her, it's kind of like, a throwback fragrance. It takes us back to a different time. I'm not gonna tell you guys that the Dreamer is going to be some enormous compliment puller or anything. A lot of people do really, really enjoy it, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that the Dreamer is gonna pull compliments like Why Eau de Parfum, because it's not. But it is more unique than Why Eau de Parfum, and it's cheaper too, and the bottle's better. So yeah, the Dreamer, the last in this list of fragrances my wife loves. All right, guys, it's gonna do it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for all of your support. Couldn't do this without you. Stay safe out there. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.